Okay. I want to do a summary so that the press is better appraised for one main reason. The submission yesterday by me and by Farhan Reid, and today's submission by Harvey as well. Many of them are quite technical, but they are extremely very substantive. As you can see from the judge's comment today, they were quite taken up with the point in the morning, and also with the point yesterday that we took up. Okay, now, so I want to go from yesterday. Now, you remember I said that the Section 23 charge under the MACA, the abuse of power and corruption charge, I said it is defective, it is illegal. In fact, it should drop from the beginning. The case on Section 23 should just disappear because it is illegal based on the grounds that it is duplicitous. Namely, it suffers from the problem of duplicity. Now, what is duplicity in Section 23? You see, it arises because the prosecution quite surprisingly considered that what they mentioned as the gratification of 42 million is not correct, because 42 million is not gratification in the charge. But when you read that charge, although they say it is Section 23, it exposes two offences in one. So Section 23 shows there are two offences. 42 million, because it cannot be part of Section 23, it is actually a charge for simple bribery of a public officer. Yeah? That means a public officer accepted bribery of 42 million in order to do SRC a favour, namely to sit in the two cabinet meeting and to get the government, or rather the cabinet, to approve the government guarantee. So for that favour, 42 million is the gratification. Although that is not the charge, they seem to do a shadow play, namely within the Section 23 charge, that bribery charge seems to come out. It exposes a bribery charge as well. And as I've said, this becomes more important, more prominent, because they now concede the 42 million is not the gratification under Section 23. Because 42 million is a gratification for a simple bribery. Okay? Now I'll explain to you how it works. Under Section 23 is abuse of power corruptly. Yeah? It simply should be this, that you, on such and such a date, you have to choose one of the cabinet meeting that you presided over the cabinet as MOF, because as Prime Minister, he has no interest in SRC because SRC is under MOF. But they put him on so many hats. You remember? They say as a Prime Minister as well as MOF. So the charge should have just said that on that date, you as Minister of Finance, you sat in the cabinet meeting to propose the government guarantee, and that you have actually interest, and that interest is not 42 million. This you must get it very clear. The 42 million is not the interest. That you have an interest in SRC. Why? Because SRC is a wholly owned company of MOF. You understand? So it's just like me. If I were to grant a concession to my son, and I have an interest because he's my son. So similarly here, Section 23 offence is complete in the charge if you say that you conflicted yourself in your interest because you have an interest in SRC, because MOF owned SRC, and you participated in the cabinet meeting where you approved together with the cabinet the government guarantee of 2 billion and then 2 billion. Full stop. But their charge currently, which is not amended until today, says the gratification is the 42 million. That's why it become a great deal of nonsense, because how could one do what they call it, abuse of power, and then wait about 3 to 3.5 years to receive the 42 million. So it doesn't make any sense. So when they realize it, they make the concession that the 42 million is not the correct one for purposes of gratification. But they still have not amended the charge. The judge has made a massive mistake when he accepted at the prima facie level that 42 million was the gratification when he called for the offense, for the defense. He called for the defense on the gratification of 42 million on the basis of Section 23. So that was a serious blunder, both by prosecution and the judge, the trial judge. Now, when he called for the defense, and then at the end of the case, his judgment, the judge's judgment, was in fact flip-flopping between gratification of 42 million, and then he extended it by saying it is not just 42 million, it's the entire fund of SRC was available to him. This is where we said it's almost like he has got the ATM machine at his disposal. All right? The judge opened it without warning us that he has got this idea in mind. In actual fact, if he had that idea in mind, he should have warned us so that we can do our defense, we can tweak our defense to meet that sort of allegation which the judge has got in his head. All right? Now, that is the problem with the most serious problem of duplicity. The duplicity also arises because there are actually 4 charges there, not just 2. There are actually 4 charges in one charge. So it is duplicitous because, you remember there are 2 cabinet meetings. For each cabinet meeting is a separate transaction because it deals with 2 separate 2 billion government guarantee and another 2 billion government guarantee, separated by many months. The consideration by the cabinet are different. So the 2 dates of the cabinet meeting should be 2 charges under Section 23. All right? And then as a Prime Minister and as MOF, there are further consideration whether or not there is actually another 2 charges should have been split between the MOF and the Prime Minister. Now, that is on duplicity. But the most interesting one, I think the judges were very, very interested, apart from the duplicity or between simple bribery of a public officer and abuse of power of the minister, the judges were also interested in this. Namely, under Section 23, we have Section 23 subsection 4, which says this. It is a defense, which says if a person is a representative of a public body, first public body, and he is a representative of the first public body because he represents the second public body. Now, the first public body would be MOF or MOF Inc., all right? Not SRC, yeah? Very, very important. So that's the first public body. So he represents the government of Malaysia. Where? At the cabinet meeting. Because the charge says the cabinet meeting is where you committed the offense. So 23.4 says, if you act as a representative of one body for purposes of the benefit of the second body, which is the government of Malaysia, and you do not have, you are not in conflict of interest. Because your position there is an official position. You do not have a personal interest. So when Datuk Seri Najib sat there as MOF, he doesn't have interest as Najib Razak. He has interest there as MOF because it is only through MOF that the ownership of SRC becomes 100%. It is not his money, it is not his shares. So 23.4 say, if he participated in that kind of meeting as that kind of representative, it is a full defense. It's a full defense. Okay. Now, we notice in this morning argument that when we come to the second issue, which also the judges were very interested. In fact, I think they spent yesterday and today altogether 2 hours in exchange of question and answer with me. Today, we dealt with the issue of what they call it, shadow director. But before I deal with the shadow director, which is very critical, the judge, with respect to 23(4) said he has to consider Datuk Seri Najib as a person within SRC. But because Datuk Seri Najib is not within SRC, 23(4) doesn't apply. So that is a total blunder of interpretation of section 23(4), because 23(4) must relate to the charge. The charge says you committed the offence because you are MOF, you are the Prime Minister, not because you are such and such in SRC. So when the judge says he has to be in the SRC in order to get the defence of 23(4), he's completely off the mark. Not just by a miss, he missed the mark by a mile. Okay, he's totally wrong. Now on the 402A interpretation, 402A is the penal code. For the first time, I think this is the first case they interpret about whether the role of a shadow director is important when we deal with agency and entrustment issue in the CBT charge. My argument today, never taken before, namely 402A is not a shadow director situation. That's why the word shadow director is not mentioned. And I compared the provision to England. In England, in their Companies Act, Insolvency Act and some others, when they are talking about shadow director, they define it and they say shadow director means such and such. Okay? Therefore, I said the judge was wrong when he mixed the shadow director concept of the common law and 402A, which he thought was also a shadow director, but differently worded under the penal code. He was wrong, totally wrong, because 402A, as I've said, is not a shadow director. 402A is a person who is an insider. That means he has to be in the company. Whereas shadow director, normally, in fact, almost all the time, is a person external to the company. Okay, but he controlled the company because he is able to control the directors. So I said, because he is not an insider, the judge found him to be not an insider. The judge could not have applied 402A against him. This, I think the judges are very, very attracted to the idea, because it is the first time that we have argued that 402A is not a shadow director concept. Okay, that's very, very critical. Now, if he's not a shadow director, you remember the judge asked Datuk Sidambaram, if he's not a shadow director, that means he's not a director, do you agree with me the entire CBT charge will drop? Sidambaram said yes. So today, when we said that he could not be under 402A, because the concept of shadow director doesn't apply to him at all, I think the judges are quite keen on this idea. In fact, just now they repeated it when Harvey was submitting. They said, look, we heard a very substantive point this morning. We want you to deal it like that. Okay? Now, for purposes of 402A, as I've said, he has to be an insider. Datuk Seri Najib is not an insider. Okay? That's quite clear now. Thus far, have you got any question before I move on to something else? So far, you have any question? Okay, no. What is the third point? That's it, isn't it? Now, you will see that we did not deal much with AMLA. Why? Because AMLA is so dependent on the two predicate officers, namely the Section 23, abuse of power, corruption, and the CBT. So if these two are knocked off, that's the end of the case. Even AMLA will drop automatically. So we feel that it is a very extremely powerful point In fact, Dato' Sitam said that they never look at the point of duplicity. But what we are saying is, it is not something surprising. The reason why duplicity come about now in our reply is because they themselves make a confession to the court. They consider that 42 million is not the gratification. So why it is there in the charge, it becomes duplicitous. So once it becomes duplicitous, we have got a reason to raise this issue of duplicity. Okay? Any question? That's it? Clear? Clear. Charan, clear? All right. Thank you very much.